Verstappen is champion, but it was Russell's weekend in Vegas. Let's get into it. Welcome back to On Track GP, I'm Jamie Chambers, and what a weekend Vegas turned out to be. It delivered on racing, spectacle and drama, and not a drain cover in sight. Let's jump straight into practice and qualifying. In the first practice session at Las Vegas Grand Prix, Mercedes dominated the timesheets with Lewis Hamilton leading the way, setting a pace of 0.396 seconds ahead of his teammate George Russell. The track conditions were challenging with low grip and a dusty surface, making it difficult for drivers to find traction. A peppering of dust initially obscured the racing line, and even after continued running, the circuit offered minimal grip. McLaren emerged as the closest competitors to Mercedes in FP1, with Lando Norris finishing just a second behind Hamilton, though the team wasn't actively time chasing due to an evolving track condition. The second practice session saw a similar pattern, with Hamilton continuing to look strong, though the margins tightened somewhat. Norris was incredibly close to Hamilton's pace, just 0.011 seconds adrift, while Ferrari's Carlos Sainz was within a quarter of a second of the top time. Charles Leclerc was another 2 tenths behind, with GPS data showing most of his time loss occurring in the second sector. Red Bull, however, struggled significantly, with Max Verstappen finishing 17th in FP2. This was partly due to a red flag interrupting their qualifying simulation, which prevented the team from setting a representative lap time on soft tyres. Verstappen himself admitted to struggling with tyre warm-up, describing the driving conditions as feeling like driving on ice. Race pace analysis revealed some interesting insights. McLaren's Oscar Piastri looked particularly strong on medium tyres, with his 7-lap stint averaging a quarter second faster than Carlos Sainz's Ferrari. The GPS data highlighted interesting team characteristics. Ferrari showed superior top-end speed on longer straights, while McLaren demonstrated better traction and appeared to run more downforce to manage tyre temperatures. Red Bull and Mercedes appeared to be about half a second behind the leading pace, with Sergio Perez putting in a more consistent long run compared to his teammate Verstappen. George Russell noted that teams might be sandbagging their true pace, with competitors potentially running more fuel during Friday practice. The midfield battle remained tight, with Haas showing promising form and teams like Alpine and RB closely matched. Williams faced challenges, with Alex Albon's car suffering from fuel system issues, first an initial problem that kept the car in the garage, and then an electronic sensor shutdown to protect that Mercedes power unit. Aston Martin struggled to put together a consistent medium tyre stint, with Lance Stroll's run being inconsistent and Fernando Alonso's laps notably slow. Alpine and RB were neck and neck in race pace, with Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon suggesting their cars might have an edge in qualifying trim. The overall theme of the day was the extremely low grip levels, with drivers like Norris commenting on how challenging the conditions were, emphasising the difficulties of finding performance in the cold, slippery Las Vegas circuit. In FP3, Mercedes continued their dominant form, with George Russell topping the timesheets in a session dramatically cut short by a late red flag. Russell set a faster time of 1 minute 33.570 in the final 10 minutes, a lap that remained unbeaten after Lance Stroll's Aston Martin stopped at turn 12, effectively ending the session with just a minute of running left. The session started slowly, with Sergio Perez initially the only driver to set a time, commenting on the continued low grip levels. As the track evolved, drivers began to push hard, with Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc and Kevin Magnussen engaging in an early battle for top positions. Mercedes then reasserted their dominance, with Lewis Hamilton and Russell trading fastest lap times before Russell's ultimate lap secured the session's top spot. Max Verstappen, who had described earlier conditions as undrivable, briefly held the top position with a 1 minute 34.137 before being displaced. The final top 5 saw Russell lead, followed by Piastri, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris and Verstappen. The Williams drivers, Alex Albon and Franco Colapinto, impressed by securing 7th and 8th positions respectively. On to qualifying, and Q1 was a dramatic opener, with Mercedes demonstrating remarkable early pace. George Russell topped the session with a 1:33.186, narrowly beating his teammate Lewis Hamilton by just 0.039 seconds. Max Verstappen secured 3rd position, while McLaren's Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris completed the top 5. The session's most significant narrative was Sergio Perez's elimination, failing to progress for the 6th time this season. Red Bull's strategy of running on a single set of soft tyres backfired, leaving Perez stranded in 16th place. The elimination zone saw Fernando Alonso, Alexander Albon and Lance Stroll joining Perez on the sidelines. Stroll, who had struggled with an ERS problem in final practice, was only able to complete a single lap attempt, ultimately finishing last. Williams' rookie Franco Colapinto managed to progress to Q2, providing a small consolation for the team after their earlier challenges. Q2 escalated the tension, with Hamilton initially setting the pace before Verstappen briefly took control. The session was dramatically interrupted by Colapinto's heavy crash at the left-hand kink of turn 16. The young Williams driver clipped the inside wall before careening into the outside barrier, destroying his car for the second consecutive qualifying session. Despite climbing out apparently unharmed, his qualifying was ended prematurely, finishing 14th. The Ferrari drivers, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, made comfortable progress into Q3, while Alpine's Pierre Gasly secured an impressive 4th place in the session. Esteban Ocon narrowly missed out, finishing 11th, and watching his teammate Gasly advance. Kevin Magnussen was eliminated 12th, and Zhou Guanyu securing a respectable 13th place finish. Q3 delivered a thrilling climax that will be remembered as one of the season's most exciting qualifying sessions. Russell secured his first pole since Silverstone with a stunning final lap of 1:32.312, edging out Sainz by a mere 0.098 seconds. The session was initially delayed by around 20 minutes due to Colapinto's earlier crash, which had shifted the concrete barrier at turn 16. Pierre Gasly produced a remarkable performance, qualifying 3rd and stealing the spotlight from the championship contenders. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen rounded out the top 5, with Verstappen in a position to clinch the championship. Lando Norris qualified 6th, while an impressive Yuki Tsunoda secured 7th. Lewis Hamilton's qualifying was a story of missed opportunities. 2 critical mistakes, one forcing him to abandon his first flying lap, and another causing significant oversteer around turn 2, ultimately relegated him to 10th position. This contrasted sharply with his teammate Russell's pole position, highlighting some of the unpredictable nature that is present in the Las Vegas circuit. Onto the race, and the start was crucial. Russell from pole position executed a textbook launch, but the real story was Charles Leclerc's aggressive opening, rocketing him from 4th to 2nd, immediately challenging Russell and showing Ferrari's potential speed. Behind them, Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen began their strategic chess match. Leclerc's early aggressive pace proved to be a double-edged sword. His medium tyres degraded rapidly after his initial burst, allowing Sainz and Verstappen to methodically pick their way past. This highlighted a critical aspect of modern F1. Tyre management isn't just about pace, but about sustainable performance. Lewis Hamilton's drive was nothing short of phenomenal. Starting 10th after qualifying mistakes, he demonstrated why he's considered one of the greatest drivers ever. His hard tyre strategy and relentless overtaking saw him slice through the field, eventually challenging his teammate Russell for the win. Speaking of Russell, he delivered a commanding performance at this year's Grand Prix, converting his emphatic pole position into a lights-to-flag victory. Russell maintained his lead off the line while chaos brewed behind him as Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and Alpine's Pierre Gasly scrapped into turn 1, allowing Charles Leclerc to seize 2nd. Max Verstappen climbed past the Alpine early on to bolster his championship aspirations. Tyre degradation caught teams off guard, reshuffling the field before the first pit stops, with Leclerc falling behind Sainz and Verstappen as McLaren's Lando Norris and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton joined the fray. After the second round of stops, Russell held a comfortable 10-second lead over Hamilton, who relentlessly closed the gap in the final laps but fell just short. The Mercedes duo secured a dominant 1-2 finish, with Sainz rounding out the podium. The Spaniard narrowly avoided the penalty for darting out of the pit lane entry during a last-minute call-off from Ferrari, keeping him ahead in the fight with Leclerc and Verstappen. Leclerc passed Verstappen late in the race to secure 4th, while Verstappen, managing his pace and tyres to hold off Norris, clinched his 4th consecutive Drivers' Championship with a solid 5th place finish. McLaren's Norris and Oscar Piastri finished 6th and 7th, though the latter incurred a 5-second penalty for a grid box infringement. Haas's Nico Hülkenberg impressed with an 8th place finish, not 11th, vital for Haas in their battle for 6th in the Constructors' standings. RB's Yuki Tsunoda claimed 9th, narrowly missing Hülkenberg, while Red Bull's Sergio Perez salvaged the final point in a relatively subdued outing for the reigning Constructors' champions. The eventful night race on the streets of Las Vegas crowned Verstappen as champion and highlighted Mercedes' resurgence with a double podium. Verstappen's title was secured with calculated precision. Needing only to finish ahead of Lando Norris, he managed the race expertly. Despite losing positions to the Ferrari drivers and Hamilton, his championship-winning mindset was clear. Points, not podiums, were the priority. The Constructors' Championship remains fascinating. McLaren's lead over Ferrari has been slashed to just 24 points, with Oscar Piastri only managing 7th and Ferrari showing strong pace. The battle for 2nd place is far from settled. Red Bull, mathematically still in contention, but realistically out of the running, face the end of their 2-year championship reign. The Sainz-Leclerc relationship provided another subplot. Their on-track battle and Leclerc's post-race radio outburst revealed ongoing tensions within the Ferrari team. Sainz ultimately claimed 3rd, but Leclerc's frustration was palpable. A real microcosm of Ferrari's challenging season. Let's not overlook some standout midfield drives. Nico Hülkenberg brought Haas home in 8th, crucially moving them ahead of Alpine in the Constructors' standings. Yuki Tsunoda continued to impress for RB, finishing 9th and showing the team's continued development. So at just 26 years old, Verstappen joins an elite group of 4-time world champions. His dominance this season has been remarkable, even if this particular race wasn't his strongest performance. It's a milestone that cements his status as a generational talent. With 2 races remaining, Qatar and Abu Dhabi, the narrative does shift. The Drivers' Championship is decided, but the Constructors' battle promises more drama. Mclaren will be defensive, Ferrari will be aggressive, and the midfield teams will be looking to make their mark. Las Vegas delivered a race that had everything. A great win for Russell, a masterclass from Hamilton, Verstappen's historic achievement, and Ferrari drama. Formula One continues to prove why it's the pinnacle of motorsport. So the final podium in Vegas, George Russell comes home in first, Lewis Hamilton 7 seconds behind in second, and Carlos Sainz 11 seconds behind in third. The rest of the top 10, Charles Leclerc in 4th, Max Verstappen in 5th, Lando Norris in 6th, Oscar Piastri in 7th, Nico Hülkenberg in 8th, Yuki Tsunoda in 9th, and Sergio Perez coming home in 10th. So that was some of the crucial moments of an unforgettable Las Vegas Grand Prix. Verstappen is champion, but will it be Leclerc or Norris taking second place? Have McLaren done enough for the Constructors' Championship, and has this been one of the best seasons of F1 ever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and remember to like, share and subscribe. Keep the pedal to the metal, and I'll see you in Qatar.